Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now, Dillian Whyte has spoken out about Deontay Wilder removing Mark Breland from his team. He claims that Deontay Wilder is an idiot for removing the one man who cared about him in his team. The one man who wasn't there for glory, fame, or money. None of that. He just wanted to help Deontay Wilder. Now, Mark Breland was the only member of Deontay Wilder's team who has a history with boxing. So ultimately, he represented experience for Deontay Wilder and his team. Now, Malik Scott has been drafted in as some sort of a replacement for Deontay Wilder. And he's a man who Deontay Wilder knocked out himself in one round. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean Malik Scott doesn't have the experience or wealth of knowledge in the boxing ring. That doesn't mean anything. Anyone can be knocked out in one round in boxing. That's all it takes is one big punch, especially from Deontay Wilder. So I'm not necessarily disregarding his boxing abilities and experience and maybe potential as a trainer just because of that one knockout loss to Deontay Wilder. But the thing is, how can you bring in Malik Scott to replace Mark Breland? It's great having someone like that on your team to help out, to be maybe a second or third voice to someone like Mark Breland, because Mark Breland was a co-trainer. Jay Diaz is the head coach, and realistically, he's not someone who has a lot of experience at training fighters. He's more of a personal trainer, I think I'd rather call him. He doesn't have the kind of experience that Sugar Hill would have in Tyson Fury's corner, or even Ben Davison. I think that Ben Davison was a better trainer than Jay Diaz. So in that sense, I think that Dillian Whyte is right to say that Deontay Wilder should not have dismissed Mark Breland. Now, we don't know too much about what has gone on behind the scenes. We don't know what conversations have been had. We do know that Mark Breland was denied access to the changing rooms after the fight. So after Deontay Wilder was stopped and Mark Breland threw the towel, apparently he was not allowed back in the dressing room with Deontay Wilder, which I think is absurd because Mark Breland has been there supporting Deontay Wilder throughout his career. So to show him that level of disrespect after he had just done something for the best of Deontay Wilder, really, because that's what he'd done. No one else had the courage to throw the towel. They were thinking about, oh, Deontay Wilder has one big punch, he can land that. He was in a position where that punch wasn't coming. He was fatigued, tired, constantly hurt. There was no way he was going to land that one big punch. He was done. And it was only Mark Breland who had the decency to throw in the towel and end it there and then, to save his man for another day. Say Deontay Wilder does pull out a big punch in this third fight with Tyson Fury, which can happen, but I don't believe it will. But if he does, that will be down to some part Mark Breland, because Mark Breland saved him to fight for another day. Something bad could have happened if he did not throw that towel, because ultimately Deontay Wilder wasn't throwing much back. He was in a position where he could not come back from all of the punishment he had sustained against Tyson Fury. So given that, it was the right decision to make, and ultimately it's cost him his position on Team Wilder. But the best thing is, Mark Breland can walk away and say that I done the right thing. And ultimately he did save his fighter for another day. He done what he was there to do. The man with realistically the only or the most boxing experience in Deontay Wilder's corner. If anyone knew when the time was right to throw that towel, it was him, not Jay Diaz. He wouldn't have done it. And I don't know whether it's because he doesn't have the steel to, whether he doesn't want the backlash, because Mark Breland didn't care about that. He's got plenty of it from Team Wilder and Wilder fans. He got a lot of backlash. Even Shelley Finkel was up in his face straight away on the ring apron, talking to him, shouting at him. Deontay Wilder was questioning why he done something like that. But he didn't care about that. He cared about the safety of his fighter because he's been there himself inside the ring. So he had that experience, so he knew what he was doing. And now there appears to be a glaring flaw in Deontay Wilder's team. Yes, he has Jay Diaz still. He's still sticking with him. He has Malik Scott now drafted into his team. But he's missing a whole wealth of experience from someone who is a proper trainer. There were talks of Joe Goosen joining him in camp in preparations for Tyson Fury, but doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Nothing came of it. So Deontay Wilder is missing a team behind him that can take him to potentially a second world title. And ultimately, that could be his biggest downfall when he gets back in there with Tyson Fury, because he needs to learn a lot in a short space of time. It was going to be a struggle anyway. It just got a lot more difficult for Deontay Wilder. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.